So welcome everybody. It's been a long time since we've met in person. We're still only meeting half in person, but that's a start. I'm going to start with an acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge the territory in which we gather as the ancestral homelands of the Beothuk and the island of Newfoundland as the ancestral homelands of the Mi'kmaq and Beothuk. We would also like to recognize the Inuit of Nunatsiavut and Nunatakaavut and the Innu of Nitassinan and their ancestors as the original people of Labrador. We strive for respectful relationships with all the peoples of this province as we search for collective healing and true reconciliation and honor this beautiful land together. And I'll just point out that tomorrow is the fall equinox. Come on in. One of the things we haven't done for 2.5 years is actually go around the room and introduce ourselves. And so I think for the online, I'll just have to have Randy sort of read out the participant list, but we can start with the people in the room. And so I'm Mike Morrow. I'm the president of the St. John Center of the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada. So there are a few announcements to start with. So this is the agenda for tonight. We're going to, myself and a few other people are going to report on some of the things that went on this summer. We'll have our regular observation reports, the sky this month, and then some news. And if people have some questions, if there's some discussion, we can do that at the end, and then some refreshments and mingling, but trying to be a little bit safe about it. So for the announcements, and the first thing I want to announce is that we're doing hybrid meetings, which we've all figured out. There's about half of us in the room and half of us online, and it's a little bit of an experiment. Oh, we have a chat already, so let me just see. Yeah, so Yolanta is saying that Jim is here, so Jim Stacy's also here. Thanks, Yolanta. So it's a little bit of an experiment. So far, it's okay. It turns out I can have the speaker on here so we can hear people that are people who are remote. But if we do have two computers that are logged into the Zoom session, and we have to be very careful not to have both of them unmuted at the same time, or else we get feedback and horrible things happen. And figuring out how to go back and forth between people speaking remotely and people in the room. We'll figure it out, but at the beginning there are definitely going to be some hiccups. So I'd be very grateful for your patience. And so the next announcement I want to make is that we have a medal to present. And before he gets the medal, I'm going to make Robert listen to the citation, which was published in the June 2022 issue of the Journal of the RASC. So this is about Robert. For most of his 20 years in the RASC, Robert Babb has served as an executive committee member of the St. John Center, including terms as president, vice president, and observing director. Mr. Babb has been a reliable volunteer at star parties, science in the mall days, observe the moon nights for events related to eclipses, comets, and transits, new telescope owner workshops, astronomy day, and other center public events. That sounds like a lot of service. He has been a frequent speaker, writer, media contact, and liaison with other groups. The St. John Center's efforts to establish an observatory have been helped tremendously by Robert's expertise, experience, and sweat equity. He is chief liaison with provincial parks personnel at the site where the Center Observatory is being built, which is also the site, the location of the St. John Center's annual star party. So it's a very well-deserved honor, and we're glad that it's shown up. It's a That's what it looks like. So it's pretty classy metal. And so, Robert, you would come down here, we could bump elbows or something.
Well done, Robert. Well done.
Thank you. Thanks for all the service.
Yes, sir. And we hope you're not gonna give it up.
Very happy to do this next part.
Your name, well,
Congratulations.
thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to serve the society for 20 years. It passes fast, and I look forward to, I don't know what another 20, but no.
I think that's an obligation now, right?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, another announcement, we're hoping to have International Observe the Moon Night October 1st. It's starting early because the moon sets pretty early that night. I think it sets by about 9. And we're planning to do it up at Signal Hill. And I guess, Robert, have you heard back from them or?
No, I haven't. I'm hoping tomorrow that I'll be able to make contact with them finally.
Okay, so we'll make an announcement about that, but that's the plan. And the October meeting is going to be the center annual general meeting. If you're interested in serving on the executive or on the committees, please let Randy know. Our committees are light pollution abatement, dark sky preservation, and the observatory. And there'll be elections, hotly contested elections, and I'll make a report, and I think that the treasurer and the auditor will make reports. Does that sound right, Randy? Okay, so these meetings are open to the public. I think a lot of people here are members, but I'm not sure about online. But I'll just point out that the benefits of membership include a supportive community. There's the chat group, and I'd encourage everybody, whether you're expect to be active in it or not, it's RASC NL Talk. There are ways to do it where you don't get things by email. You just sort of sign on. You can look at a web page with a sort of an archive of pictures that have been sent in, and that it's a nice way to share observations, get involved in discussions and that. And I think it's really one of the really nice benefits of membership. So I encourage you, if you haven't gotten involved in that, go ahead and do that. You can talk to Randy and he'll add you to the list. We've got publications, some of which examples are up here: Sky News, the Journal, and the Observer's Handbook. We have equipment rentals, lots of telescopes, a solar telescope, very, basically $10 a shot for a month, but that usually extends until somebody else wants it. We have member observing sessions. We haven't had many, but Robert and I did go out and do one, so I guess officially they're back on now.
Yes.
And of course, you can join the RASC here. There's a monthly bulletin and monthly bulletin and a weekly newsletter. If you're a member, you should be getting those. And I think some of these you can get even if you're not a member. You just have to ask for them. So if you want to get these and you're not getting them, please let us know. And so the next part of the meeting, I'm going to go through, and some other people are going to go through some of the things that have gone on since our last meeting in June. And I'll start, there have been some presentations outside groups, and as is usually the case, Gary did most of the heavy lifting with that. So here's a list of some of the, he talked to Girl Guides and Brownies several times. A group at Pippi Park, were those Girl Guides or Brownies? Or?
They were Girl Guides.
Yeah.
Girl Guides.
And another camp, Torbay Scouts, a CBS women's group. Do you know who that?
I don't remember the name.
Okay.
There's about 35, and they seem to be very active.
Okay, great. And Cynthia and I went out in June and camped in Butterpot and did a presentation to the Mount Pro Pathfinders, who turn out to be older Girl Guides, I guess. So we've done some of that kind of stuff. And I'm going to ask Marcellus now to come up, and I'll get out of the way and let Marcellus say a bit about the General Assembly.
Yeah, the General Assembly, does anyone here went or participated in the General Assembly? Show of hands. And I can't see what's happening online, so I have to assume at least a few people did. It was a good get together, usually happens the last weekend of June. I can let you know that this year, or in 2023, it's actually going to be two separate events over a couple of different weekends. There's going to be the AGM one weekend and the GA over another weekend. I think that's because we're dealing with the new hybrid system or whatever. But this past one had quite a good lineup of speakers in that. Do I get access to this right here?
Yeah.
Okay. Natalie Willett was a really good talk on science, especially with the James Webb Space Telescope. There was, besides the great speech that was on the go with the chat screen, and that a lot of people were noticing that she was wearing the James Webb Space Telescope jewelry. So all the women online were, where'd you get that? And there was links being sent around and stuff like that. But her talk was quite good, and I do know that some of the JWST jewelry was sold. Some of the speaker sessions were quite good. Laurie Sebald was doing citizen science on exoplanet detection, which was pretty good. Warren Finlay gave a report, which I thought was right out of the world, a double marathon, running a full marathon physically while doing a Messier marathon on the same night.
It was pretty crazy.
You've seen that one too. I was like, a bit of training for it and that, and he went through the process. Either one of them would be like quite an accomplishment, and to do both of them on the same night, I thought was.
Yeah, so he'd run for like 20 or
a
30
few hours,
minutes.
and then he'd pick up a few Messiers, and then he'd run for a while and come back and pick up a few Messiers, a bit of food interspersed, stuff like that. All these things are going to be available online on YouTube. There's only a handful that are up there now.
Do you want me to get that back from you there?
Get that back there. Another good talk that was given was Tony Shalek, Ace Amateur Astronomy. He's out of the Halifax Center.
There it is there.
Okay. He's out of Halifax Center and has quite a good binocular program on the go. I know National has one, but Tony Shalek was he's put a lot of work into it over the years. He's been doing it for quite a few years, and he's been putting up a binocular table at all the club's events. He'd like to see all centers with at least 15 pairs of binoculars for public events, just to hand out for people to use in that. With online from the GA, we also have what we do.
Well, you gotta go up to the playlist there.
The play. Oh, okay.
I haven't clicked playlist.
There we go.
So this is just YouTube,
You
RASC YouTube, right?
yeah, create a playlist, and this one right here. What I think I'll start playing now. Is it?
Just starting live on YouTube and
Okay. We have. Let me get back out of here.
Back here, there.
Okay, the Explore the Universe, this past one is the list of the speakers that have presented so far. I think there's only 5 up to so far. There's probably another 7 or 8 to be put up. Another one of the keynote speakers I thought was really good was Dr. Robert Cardinal. His work was, we all have a personal collective relationship with the sky. I think it was the Sika Nation. He's a member of West. And even though I was a member of the Calgary Center when he was, I never ran into him in a meeting, but I really enjoyed his talk. I definitely suggest everyone try and check it out. What else we got here? And the YouTube videos, there's a list sent out to everyone. If you was registered for the GA, that you will be able to get access to with the password that you had then. But if you didn't, you'll have to wait until the videos are posted. They're waiting for some releases from the people to say, okay, you can use my talk on your website for free. Other than that, that's.
But there's been 4 go up in the last day, so that it's happening right now.
They're going to get us up there, YouTube playlist. No, that's not getting it to us. But anyways, GA was quite good, and I recommend anyone else attend next year's in whatever shape or form it's in.
Okay, thank you very much, Bill. Okay, so, Peggy Dixon is online, and I'm going to invite her to jump in and make a few comments at the end. But I'm going to start out in June, right around the time of the GA. Peggy went to Gamble Pond, and she was saying that she was at the end of a road with about 10 houses on it, and there was no light anywhere nearby. She figured in terms of darkness, they measure darkness in Bortle. She figured Bortle 1 or 2 or something like that. So that's really remarkably dark. And she did some milk. So this is just showing you where Gamble Pond is. It's obviously near Gamble. So again, there's Gander and there's Terra Nova. So in the middle. And so she did these pictures of the Milky Way on a Canon power shot, but on a tripod. And she's given us some of the details here. But what struck me was that, you know, we listened to Alan Dyer give a talk about how to do Milky Way photographs with landscape in them, and it was quite an involved process. But there's nothing wrong with the shots that Peggy got, and they're, you know, I found them really quite beautiful. So I'll just run through a few of them and then let Peggy make a few comments at the end. I guess caught a satellite there, but beautiful Milky Way shots, and I hope that people online are seeing these and getting some background. Here's you can see the Big Dipper in here. And so this is a shot, and Cassiopeia is sort of buried in all the stars up here, but it's about here. And that's actually the Andromeda galaxy there. And this is the double cluster. So a beautiful shot there. So Peggy, if you want to unmute and add anything to what I've said, there you are.
Yeah, can you see me? I can't see me, but yeah, first of all, I just want to show you my James
you've
Webb
got one
jewelry. I've got some earrings. Anyway, yeah, just to add a little bit to what you said. So I am a total beginner at this. If you're just a hobby I picked up this year, and I really love doing it. And if you're familiar with the cameras, you know, a Canon PowerShot, you can't even change the lens on it. It's really hard to focus, but you know, if you're in a dark place, and I thought it might be like a Bortle 3, maybe not a 1 or 2, but I don't know. It was extremely dark anyway. And we were about up a dirt road about 10 kilometers from the TCH. There's cabins all along the way there, but there's none across the pond on the other side. And we were the last cabin in. And so, and there were a bunch of trees between us and the next one. It's an Airbnb if anybody's ever interested in going, but we were there for a week during new moon, and we got one decent night for photographs. So just, I guess, to show you what you can do as even as a beginner with a not so great camera. And just to say that I loved it. And, you know, the very first shot that was shown of the Milky Way across the pond, you know, when you're doing these time-lapse photos, you don't know what you're getting. You don't even know if you're pointing. I mean, I could sort of see the Milky Way. I could see it, yes, but it wasn't like that. And I didn't even know if I was pointing in exactly the same, the right direction. But it was such a rush when that, after the 10 seconds were over, and I actually saw that on the screen, it was just amazing, I have to say, and I've been hooked ever since. And I love getting Andromeda, even if it's just a fuzzy little patch, it's still pretty thrilling. So anyway, that's about all I was planning to say about that. Hope you enjoyed them.
Well, thank you very much for sharing, Peggy. And
Thanks. Okay.
okay, so I'll talk about the next one. We had our first try at the Butterpot Star Party, I guess in a couple of years, August 5th to 6th, and we purposely kept it pretty modest, because we weren't quite sure how things were going to work, and we just focused on the public observation, because we weren't sure quite where things were with COVID at that point in the summer, and not so much of, normally there would also be a lot of social stuff involved as well, but we just tried to do some public viewing. We had 2 evening sessions and an afternoon session. Over the weekend, there were about 10 members that were out, either showing the telescope or just interacting with the public. And we were figuring that there were maybe 60 to 80 people, members of the public, on the Friday evening and the Saturday afternoon when we did solar viewing, and a little more than that on Saturday evening, which turned out quite nice. The Saturday night, let's see this. This is Randy's little video of the moon, and you can sort of see what the issue was for, or sorry, this is the Friday night, yeah. You can see what the issue was. We would get peaks at the moon and a few other things, but we also saw a lot of clouds. So we were able to show people some things, but it wasn't an ideal evening. People still had a lot of fun with it. And then on the Saturday, it was pretty clear on the Saturday afternoon, so we did solar viewing. And so these are some of the pictures. You can see Randy and Craig in the shade, more or less. So Gary, Chris, I had my solar telescope set up so that it was projecting onto a computer, so I could show people on the computer. So there's the club's personal solar telescope and the one I was using. And then this is getting into the evening, and Chris had his homemade, I think it's 14-inch telescope there, and you can see a lot of people were very interested in that. This is Gary's setup, I believe. This is Gary showing people the moon. I had my dog, and I was projecting on an iPad. So we are trying some sort of a mixture of using eyepieces and electronic screens, which had sort of come up over the year in discussions between different centers about how they were going to try and do outreach. Here's John and Kimberly talking to Jim Stacy, looking at his setup. Nikolai and his friends setting up for the evening. AJ and Sebastian, don't know their last names, and Chris. And oh, here's the shot of Chris again with people looking at his telescope. There it is. And so Chris was showing people a lot of things, the Andromeda Galaxy, the cluster in Hercules, the double cluster, and he was doing Saturn at high magnification, which was quite impressive. Here's Robert with his refractor. And then this is a picture that Craig took as it was starting to get dark, and you can see lots of people around, and it's not, you know, there are lots of bright lights, but people were having a good time. And so that was the Butterpot Star Party, and I think that went reasonably well. And I think next year we can, if things stay okay, we can maybe work towards making that even a little more, adding some of the social aspects that we've had in the past that we haven't had lately. And the next one, we also a few of us went to Terra Nova for the night sky celebration. And I'm going to invite Doug to unmute. You there, Doug?
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you.
Okay.
I don't know if I have my video going. I'm on my phone because my computer started updating.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, we
There
have
we go.
a chat here. Oh, congratulations, Robert.
I think I got it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So why don't you go ahead, and what I'll do is I will, you can just sort of say what you want to say, and I will follow your instructions in terms of the advancing the slides.
okay, yeah. Well,
There you are. We see you.
hey, there you go. One thing I noticed, my phone has a fabulous camera. And also you get that great angle where you don't see the small next star 80 refractor. And Mike, I think you had a refractor as well.
Yes.
Okay, so that went well. We were looking at Saturn and various things. I was into Albiro, you know, the double star, and we were doing some Andromeda, all that kind of thing. Very well received. The park set up. They barricaded the inner parking lot at Sandy Pond for the event, and they highlighted the entrance with red lighting. And I can't say enough about the reception we received and the planning that went into it by the park staff, Yolanda Collins and Dave Saunders and Kathy Sweetapple. So we planned on going, I think we ended there around 11 o'clock, and then we did some private observing afterwards. Dave Newberry dropped in. Dave previously organized this event, and he did some photography at the pond. And then Dave dropped in again with his solar scope on Sunday when we did another session from, we arrived at the visitor center from 10 o'clock, setting up, planned to be there till about 12:30, but the response was so good, we stayed till about 2. And I think we had roughly 80 people to the solar event on that Sunday. And after that solar event, we all returned to home or went on to other areas. But so at the Sunday event, the whole crew was back. We had Dave Newberry with his scope. We had the park with their PST operated by Sean Mullins, and I shared in the operation of that. Gary with a solar scope, Mike and Robert, and no, I didn't miss anyone this time. So it was a nice day. We also had a display. I'll try not to haul down my phone while I give you an example of what we had there. So Chris, oh, it looks like it was perilous for a moment. Chris Stevenson created a solar hike. And what he did was he got driveway markers and then placed placards of planets and Neptunian, trans-Neptunian objects. So we had all the planets. We did not have Pluto as a planet. It was as a trans-Neptune object in our thing. So Chris provided those, and we used them. Chris also provided miniature models to scale, and we laid out our placards of all the planets from a thing representing a rock representing the sun, and we laid it out on a scale of 230 feet in a straight line. Previously, when Chris did this solar system hike, I think it'd be somewhere around 2 kilometers, or it'd be a long distance, a long hike. But we just set it up in a straight line just to make sure we had enough people to observe and man it. And we just gave tours as people came around and showed interest. And I got to tell you, there were some 9-year-olds that just blew me away with their knowledge, and I could learn something from them. So that's our Terra Nova National Park event, and also we also had a lot of help behind the scenes from Randy Dodge. Randy provided kits and supported us with name tags and helping coordinate just a tremendous effort. And we really appreciate all the effort of all our volunteers that went out for this. I expect we'll be doing this again next year. We'll continue on, and hopefully we'll get some more volunteers, and maybe one of you would like to help out.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Doug. And
Yeah, Mike, you mentioned you were going to show some pictures, but my phone is so small I can't see them.
okay,
I'm
well,
sorry.
we were showing some pictures as you were
Yeah.
doing that. I was showing some of the pictures in the background. And Craig pointed out that the pictures are on our website it's under past, it's outreach and then past events. So most of the pictures are there. And one of the things I'll also mention is that the park, and I don't know if you can see these, Doug, but the park also had what they called a park after dark walk, which was a bunch of posters with information about the effects of artificial light at night that went from the day use area to the amphitheater, if you're familiar with the park there. And some of the pictures were done by Dave Newberry, but there was also stuff about bats and biological effects of light at night. And the other thing I'll mention is that for the solar viewing, we had the 2 days of solar viewing. The sun was very cooperative, and there was an enormous prominence that day, and so we were able to show people that, and we had a lot of fun with that. Okay, so
The
thank you very
prominence was
much, Doug.
fabulous. Yeah, Dave, Mike, I just want to say that prominence was so big. It waved. I could actually see it moving. It was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Looks much better online.
yeah, online on the website it looks better. Yeah. Okay, thanks. So the next item, I want to invite Robert up again, make him work for his medal. We're not even finished with him yet. So he did a trip right after the night sky celebration to Fortune Harbor, so you can come and
Yeah, it was,
I hope that's where Fortune Harbor is.
yeah, I think it is, yeah. Actually, this map doesn't show the road. There is an actual road there. I didn't go there. I wasn't parachuted in or anything. But I left Terranova after we did our stint there, which was a super good event. We really did have a lot of success with that. It's just as closing remark there about it. And so I left Terranova and took on a long drive out to Fortune Harbor. And just before you get to Granite Falls, there's a route that goes down through Botwood. So you see down this way here, and the road continues on. And actually, the road stops at my brother's, or I should say my brother's wife's family home. In Fortune Harbor, which is a tiny community, probably about maybe 50 souls, maybe or so that live there. Most of the people that spend any time there now is in the summer months, and there might be a dozen people left who spend time there year round. So summer homes, and of course, you know, since he was down from Ottawa and they spend their summers there, then I decided to go on down. And it's not my first time down, but very dark sky was half the reason I went. So from down there, I was able to, I was there for just about a week, and you know, the Newfoundland weather, right? You know, even though we had a great summer, it was a great summer there as well, the evenings weren't so charming when it came to clear sky, but I got one clear night there. And I think there's an image.
Yeah, so just scroll down with the scroll There,
Whoa, yeah.
couple images.
Yeah, a couple of images there, and so this was more or less a test shot of M13 from Fortune Harbor, and you can see there's a little galaxy online. You can see a little galaxy here. I doubt if you could pick it out on the screen behind me there. Projectors.
Oh,
being
I
what-
can see it.
projectors being what they are, never as good as the online. And one other image that I took that night was this one, MA1, MA2. Nine sub-exposures of 5 minutes apiece. And that's the best image I've gotten to date, actually, for me. And that was taken from Fortune Harbor there, and I had wanted to leave Fortune Harbor and go up a woods road there to see if it could be possibly any darker, but I never got the opportunity to do that. So that's all I have to say about that. It was an interesting time to get out into the dark sky, and something we here in the city we don't get too much of. I think I took an SQM reading of 21.95. Does that make any sense? I'm not sure. I can't remember how the numbers go, but it's basically an app you put on your phone, and you can point it up at the sky, and it'll prompt you to take an image. Not when it's like that, but when you got it down and say, it'll tell you to point it up where it's hold it there, and take an image, and it then gives you a reading of how dark the sky is, and it automatically saves it to an online database, so you can go back even a year later and see, measurements you had taken at, from various places. And it was the darkest one that I had ever gotten. So it's surely no lie to say that getting out away from the light pollution makes a lot of difference, and the sky is just magic in those scenarios. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. SQM, I think, means sky quality meter. Okay, so I'm going to go through some observations now, and I'm there. Even though we had it's been a couple months since our last meeting. The summer being what it was, there were lots of cloudy nights, so there's not an enormous number of observations. But I'm mostly just going to run through them and not get too much into the technical stuff. A lot of the technical information is on RASC NL Talk if people are interested, or you can get in touch with the people who did the observations. Where there was technical information, I have put that next to the pictures, but I'm not going to dwell on that. More just sort of do a survey of what people were looking at over the summer. And so I haven't done, in last year I was doing these in chronological order. This time I've just done it by, I've sort of aggregated each contributor's pictures together. So start with Bernard Day. We've got a few pictures from him. He's out in Central with his own observatory, and it's nice and dark there, and he's very well set up. So here's a shot from July of the Vale Nebula, lots of integration, and just a couple weeks ago, there's the Milky Way, but the Big Dipper. Big Dipper. The Big Dipper, well, the Northern Lights, and we were all really interested in Bernard's shot of the Northern Lights. And the Elephant Trunk Nebula, beautiful colors in here. And a couple days ago, Bernard sent us this picture of just a beautiful double rainbow. And Bernard, if you just want to unmute and make a couple comments about your pictures here, and you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, well, I did get a couple pictures over the summer there. I've been very busy. I haven't had much of a chance at the observatory to get there, but seems like I get there on the weekends, but the clear nights were happening through the week. But I did get a couple, like you said, in those couple pictures there. I did get one in July and that other one in September there, and they turned out pretty good, I think. But yeah, this rainbow here was last Friday. We were in the cabin there. You can see the shadow of the cabin there right on the truck there. And the sun was out, and then a real heavy, misty shower came through. And I said to the wife, I said, if we look out there, we might see a rainbow. And just when we went out, it started. And I took 2 or 3 pictures, and this was the best one here. So I'd never seen anything like that.
Centered on your observatory. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it just happened that way there. Yeah, it just happened that way when I went outside the cabin there. So see this wire, that's a guy wire I put on the cabin there. So I got guy wires on the observatory and on the cabin. So we ain't gonna blow away, but
Yeah. Great.
but yeah, that one's really dark in the middle there. And Gary pointed out that the colors were opposite on the top one compared to the bottom one. So
That's all physics.
yeah, I guess so. Yes.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Bernard.
Okay.
And Robert was busy over the summer, so I've got some shots early and late in the summer. Some shots of the moon from Robert. The comet, I did some shots which I'll show later on too. So Robert had a try at comet 2017 K2. It wasn't a spectacular comet, and it was pretty hard even to see the tail sometime, but a nice shot there. Here's the comet with the globular cluster M10. That was an event that a few people took pictures of. The Crescent Nebula, and this was from the Butterpot Day Use area. I guess that was the night we were there together. And some nebulosity in Cygnus, and the Andromeda Galaxy, and there's some of the technical information, a lot of detail in that. And another one of the Veil Nebula. A lot of them are single shots, so Robert's been working through technical issues and sometimes only managed to get one shot at the end when everything's working, but they're still beautiful. And the camera is really impressive that you get that color with one shot.
What filter was that with?
That was 03 HA. No.
A double, two narrow bands. And the bubble nebula, and this is one where you can really see the bubble. Another shot of the crescent. So this one he got more shots, and blew up. I guess that's right in there, right?
Yeah, up to the left of that as well.
Okay,
There, yeah.
in there somewhere.
Was that the same filter, Robert?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Maybe we can get what's over.
You're streaking and drying through.
A shot of the Dumbbell Nebula, Triangulum Galaxy, and the Helix Nebula. That, I guess, was just a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Oh, but you weren't done. So this one was last night.
Yes.
Okay, you see, I even caught this one. So this one is where?
What do you mean?
Next to Cygnus.
Oh, yes. Very close. Yeah.
I think I spelled Vulpecula.
Going towards the coat hanger.
Okay,
Yeah. It's an open cluster with nebulosity.
okay, very nice. Thank you very much. And the next ones that I've got are some contributions from Chris. So one of Chris's projects this summer was trying to capture exoplanets by looking at the dip in the light curve. So looking at the star as an exoplanet goes over, and there's a pretty convincing dip. And this one was exoplanet TRES-3b. Chris, could you just say a little bit about this one?
Can you hear me?
Can hear you, yes.
Yeah. That was a while ago.
Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot, but
No, that's okay. This is done from the backyard observatory here in town, East End, St. John. So, yeah, I wasn't sure you could pull this off with light pollution and other houses and their porch lights and so on. So you have to be really, really careful. So there's a 12-inch telescope, and basically taking 2-minute exposures for what, 3 hours, 4 hours, and you have to run the results. You've got to calibrate carefully and run the results through software that does what's called multi-aperture photometry. So on the left-hand side, you can see the green target is the star that we're very carefully monitoring the brightness of, and the red labels are all the comparison stars. And for every frame of, I don't know, 100 odd frames, the software compares the brightnesses of all of these things, and in the end, TRES-3b, I think, is a hot Jupiter, so it's fairly big. The depth of the transit is 2.5%, which is quite large for this sort of thing. So it's not a terribly difficult thing to start out on, but I was still happy to actually see the dip. And in practice, anyone who's careful can do this with a telescope. So highly recommended. NASA has a program for interested amateurs to actually follow up observations by TESS, the Transit Explorer satellite, looking for exoplanets. And if they have a long list of candidates, and they're looking for people to do follow-up observations, so amateurs can get involved with this. If you're curious, you can look up NASA exoplanet TESS. I forget the name of the program. I know Exotic is the name of the software, but it's a little tedious but very rewarding. They say that the harder you work for rewards, the more rewarding it is when you accomplish them.
okay, well, thank you very much. My suspicion is that being careful isn't enough. It probably takes a little bit more than just being careful, but
Maybe some luck too.
well, I think there's more than luck and careful. It's pretty impressive.
Thanks.
And so, Chris, I grabbed a couple other images. This is a region in the North American Nebula through a fairly narrow H alpha filter, and at the in July, Chris was looking at the sun. The sun was quite active. He was just using a actually a solar filter that people were making at the Star Party in 2019, using some Botter aluminized mylar. And so this is a white light image, and a lot of activity. The sun's gotten very interesting lately. And then that gets us to Gary, and we already saw one of these images, and this was Gary just using a phone camera on his light telescope at the solar observing in Terra Nova at the night sky celebration. And there's that very big prominence, and there was other stuff going on here. So that was a very gratifying day to be doing solar observing. And this is actually from Gary's son, right? Yeah. On a Coast Guard ship. What an amazing sight that must be. Do you know roughly where the ship was, or?
It was up Gregory,
Okay,
and that's through the glass where they still.
through the window. Yeah, you can see a reflection there. Wow. So does he see that regularly, or was that pretty special?
During the summer for 3 weeks when they go up north, usually they go down south.
But they get northern lights most nights that it's clear?
Most nights when they go up, they get northern lights this summer and last summer.
Amazing. Okay, and we have some pictures from Jim Stacy, the Elephant Trunk Nebula, which there's the elephant, and some of the technical details are here, and you can talk to Jim about those if you want. The Bubble Nebula is down, so this is a wider field than the one we saw from Robert. The Bubble Nebula, I guess, is there, and there's the Lobster Claw. I think I got those right. Jim can jump in if I get it wrong. This is a dark nebula, Barnard 44, and maybe this one, Jim, could you jump in and just say a little bit about this one? Because there's a lot going on in this one.
Okay. Anyway, this is the region around Antares. That's
there, right?
Right there. Yeah, it's a spectacular region of the Milky Way, which is towards the center of the galaxy. And the problem with imaging this is just it's very low on the relative to the horizon, and given the fact that we don't get a whole lot of clear skies, it's difficult to get any kind of enough exposure time to really bring out some of the nebulosity that is there. So this was my first attempt at this particular target, and this is basically, I think this is only one frame where I was actually able to get anything. So and this was done with a legacy lens, an old 1980s vintage telephoto lens. So this is the first attempt at using that lens to do astronomy with.
Great, thank you very much. And so here's some other shots. The Cocoon Nebula, and lots of technical detail there, a lot of stars. This was from Butterpot, I guess. Jim and Yolanda were camping in Butterpot. So this is also in Cygnus, but during the full moon, which increases the degree of difficulty. And this is a lovely shot, a wider field shot, the Heart and Soul Nebula and the double cluster. You want to just say a word about this one, Jim?
Well, yeah, I've been doing astronomy with telephoto lenses of one sort or another, but with this particular shot, I used a macro lens, which was it's basically a 90 millimeter macro lens, and it was during the full moon, so I needed to use a filter to get rid of the light pollution and to bring out this nebulosity. So I had to tape it to the front of my lens with electrical tape, and as the night progressed, the tape would unravel and the filter would move around. So in that particular night, I just basically took as many shots as I could. The clouds were going through, and I managed to get out of about 100 shots. I managed to find 28 that had some image, didn't have any clouds. So I stacked those, and this is the result. So it's a narrow band image. So that gives you the bluish green background, and the H alpha is the red nebulosity that you see.
Great, yeah, lovely shot. Okay, and John sent in a few pictures over the summer. The Iris Nebula. With some, a lot of dust around it, which you can see. Probably not, this screen is not a super duper screen, but, another shot of the Elephant Trunk Nebula. They all look different. You can see they're all the Elephant Trunk Nebula, but they all sort of emphasize different things. And again, some of the technical detail, and you can ask John about that. And this is around Saturn. So this is, you want to say a little bit about this one, John? A lot of stuff going on in this one.
Yeah, no, I just, like I said, set up for this Saturn, is that how you pronounce it?
Oh.
Star.
Gary knows how to pronounce everything.
No, I don't know how to pronounce it. So that's part of the Cygnus, I believe, right in the center star.
Yeah.
So it's part of the nebula, Milky Way. It's first time trying it, so
Yeah, it's lovely.
it turned out good.
Yeah.
Later,
Seder, okay.
later.
And Andromeda Galaxy, another lovely one, very, very nice. And so then what I was doing part of the summer was also looking at the comet. So this is an animated GIF or GIF. Either. So this is the it wasn't much of a comet, but it's what we had in the way of comets this year. You can see almost as striking as the comet is the only over a few minutes, the number of satellites that shot through that image. I also did a shot like Robert with M10 when it was close to M10. And this is just, I'm showing these two just to illustrate the point that Robert was making. This was from in town in the backyard. And this was about a week later from Butterpot. And you can see the difference of what you can pick out, and you can actually start to see the tail of the comet. And you don't have all the fog. I tried the Lagoon Nebula. I'm not as much of a deep sky guy as some people. I took a shot of the moon, not expecting to see these features, which are amusing, but if you get exactly the right timing, you can see intersecting ridges that make a V here. And there's an X down here. So I just sort of lucked into the right.
And the L down below as well.
What's that? Oh,
L there as well.
L. Where's that? Am I close to it?
Almost up to the end.
I'm not catching it. Anyways.
Shows better on the screen.
And let's see, I did some solar viewing different days. This is my shot from in Terra Nova, and this shot was actually for about an hour. There was also a very big prominence in addition to this one, and there it is there. And one day with some nice sunspots. I tried the Crescent Nebula, the Dumbbell Nebula. And I'm getting into trying planets now. So this using Dobsonian, just so nothing tracking. I can do a video with DSLR for about 20 seconds, get about 800 frames, pick out about 300. So it's not super duper, but I'm happy with those. And so Sue did some observing. So this is earlier in the summer. One of the fun things this summer was in June, we had planets line up. So Sue and some other people were taking pictures. So this is one with Mars and Jupiter. And Do you want to just say a word about that, Sue, or that's maybe putting you on the spot, because that was also a long time ago. Are you there, Sue?
Yes, it is a long time. Oh, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's just a long time ago now, but I do remember I saw all 4 planets lined up, but I couldn't get them in the camera shot. So I figured these were the 2 that could readily be seen. But yeah, it was a really, really lovely to see them all lined up. I think I did a couple of evenings where I saw them. Yeah, that was the
Well,
one where I put my alarm on. That's right. I've just noticed.
I was
the
just going to
time.
point
Yeah.
out, these were not evenings.
Yeah, I put the alarm on for 3 o'clock. So yeah, that was great.
Yeah, that was
That's
one of
all
the
I-
things I wanted to mention about the planets. They were beautiful this year, but you had to get up pretty early or.
That's right.
pretty
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh, I'd forgotten all about that. But yes, it was worth it for sure. Beautiful sight.
Great, well, thank you.
Thank you.
And we also got a nice picture of the moon from Sue, and Jim Johnson sent in a few shots that he's just done in the last couple of days. So beautiful shot of the Andromeda Galaxy, and again the Iris Nebula showing some of the dust clouds around it. And I think that one I think I got just before the meeting. So Jim, you want to say just a word about that one?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you.
Yeah, so it was a pretty quiet summer on my behalf. Had a couple of camping trips and out in Central, not far from Gander, Square Pond area. Unfortunately, the weather didn't cooperate for a lot of it, and we actually had to cut our second camping trip short because of COVID. So it was a pretty hectic summer that way, and not a lot of time out in the observatory. But did manage the last couple of nights to get a couple of images of Andromeda, which you already shown, and the Iris Nebula here. I really like this one because of the dark nebulosity that there's a lot of dark nebulosity and dust clouds and stuff in that area of the sky, and it's interesting to see if you're able to capture it in that. It does take a lot of exposure to actually get it, because I mean you're taking pictures of darkness, so that's not a very easy thing to do, obviously.
Yep, very nice. Thank you. So that's oh, okay. So I'm going to invite, so that's it for the observations. Thank you, everyone. And I'd invite anybody who wants to contribute observations, please do so. The easiest way is if you put it up on RASC and I'll talk, I'll generally find it. But if you don't want to do that, if you just want to send it to me, that works too. But I'd also encourage you, if you're doing visual observing and you'd like to just talk about what you've been seeing about, we'd love to have you give a report about what you're seeing through your eyepiece. So it doesn't have to be photographs. They're observation reports. If you observed it, you can report it. Okay, so I'm going to invite Robert up now. So like I said, we're making work for his medal.
Yes.
And he's going to run us through the sky this month, which I'm hoping will appear there.
First year, Nikolai, our meteorologist astronomer, who's away right now. The sky for September, October, solar system roundup. As we can see, the timing of darkness, and it's getting to be more dark all day as each day passes. I think it's about a minute per day, is it something like that that changes? In any case, it is getting darker, so we get a chance to get at observing earlier, but it's sad to see the summer go. So I'll say about that. So Mercury and Venus, I think are buried in the sun, I believe, at this point in time. And Mars is becoming quite prominent in the night sky if you stay up a little later. 7 p.m. it rises, and Jupiter as well. And Saturn is beginning to depart, although it's not gone yet by a long shot. And Uranus, I think, is available in the night sky, and Neptune as well. And I guess if you were at a dark sky place, you might even pitch Jupiter, but it sets at 8:52. So I've been at it 20 years, and I've never spotted Pluto. I shouldn't say that, I suppose, but I haven't been so lucky. The sun is showing a lot of activity. We're nearing the or we're into the active part of the solar cycle. I forget what the solar cycle number is.
25 or
Yeah, it's up around the 20s, somewhere mid-20s, I guess, since we've had the technology to be able to do so. And there's a large complex just coming into view here on the limb of the sun. So if you have the means for solar observing, might be a good idea to crack it out, because this is going to be possibly a whopper of sunspots and I guess prominences as well. But as it rotates, of course, the prominences go out of view, because you have to see those on the limb of the moon, as they say, which is like the edge. And so quite active. And again, the evening planets and the morning planets are shown. And the all-night planets, as previously spoken of. September observing challenge, resolve Neptune's disk, i.e. visually or photographically confirm that it is not a star. So of course, if it's a star, it's going to be a point of light, right? But if it's a disk, it's going to appear not so much as a point, but you could say it will be just visibly noticeable as being.
Pictures count?
I don't know. No, you got to actually note it, and
What size scope you gonna need?
An 8-inch star, you can tell
do
that's
it.
too.
Yeah. I think I can do it with my 5-inch refractor, I believe.
Just barely.
Yeah,
I can tell there's color there.
that's why it's a challenge, Randy.
Oh,
So you can use the star chart software, a planetarium program on your computer, or just a Google search will give you a star field that you can follow to try and locate this, and try to notice color. Bonus extra hard challenge is to see, photograph the icy moon Triton. Well, good luck with that.
Webb's got it.
Yes, the James Webb. If you got that in your back pocket, you can certainly do it, right? There are some comments about. I don't think there are any that are in particularly, brightening or anything at this time. There is the wild one says it's brightening, but it's still very, very dim. But yeah, 10.4. So you could do it. We're hoping that we'll see something new on the horizon one of these days that might be something that we could get excited about, but right now there's not a lot to be excited about in the way of comments. The asteroids are as shown here, and I'm not going to talk too much about them. And you can certainly go and try and find them and see if you can identify them in the night sky. One way to do that would be to notice position, either, I won't say night after night, but perhaps week after week. You'd be able to note that there's a change in its position in the night sky. not much in the way of supernova to mention at the time. There is one, as you can see, at 12.3. And again, you can Google that. And so what's the next? We got
Orions.
yeah, the Ornids. Is it? I don't know how to properly pronounce that. That's what I would say anyway.
The Dragonids, isn't it?
What's that?
The Dragonids tonight, October 9th?
Yes,
Oh,
yes, that's correct, yes. But 6 per hour, I don't even know if that qualifies.
this is true.
What's that?
Yes, I noticed that column there.
Yeah, but it is a
Last year, they had a little bit of a.
bit of a blurb to it.
Oh, a big blurb to it,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah,
I never know.
yeah, I
It's a
remember.
hit and miss
Yeah,
one, huh?
yes, I remember that, yes. You never know, right?
No.
So because of that, yeah, you could be lucky in that if you try to watch for this thing, you might catch a clump that is unknown, you know, and if you hit a clump, then you're going to see quite a sight. I think it's been a long time since we've had a really big flare. I think 1833 or was it 1866 or both, I think, was the last time there was a huge people thought in back then that the sky was falling actually in Europe. It was
Over that one, yeah.
yeah,
There's lots of woodcuts or whatever about that one.
yeah, for sure. But I'd love to see something like that. Well,
Yep.
yeah, anyway, and then of course the Ornids and the Taurids, November 9th. And again, 3 per hour is not much to note, but
And 15 per hour. also.
yeah,
That'll be for our next meeting.
yeah. Deep sky objects for September and October is just a neat listing of what's nicely placed in the sky for the time frame of September and October, both binocular and telescopic. So you could take that as a challenge too, if you wanted to, right? To see if you could to see all of them or photograph all of them, I guess. It'd be quite an accomplishment, but especially with the binocular with it. International Space Station timings are shown here, and unfortunately it says no observing sessions are scheduled. However, stay tuned regarding possible changes. So we still have access to the park, to Butterfly Park. So even after it closes, we may be able to have a session out there this fall, and watch for that. It'll be on the talk certainly, right? If and when that occurs. And then there's just our observing calendar here showing the phases of the moon on the particular dates when the monthly meeting is, when the dark sky occurs at new moon, and the various meteor shower sessions that we have. And that's it for the sky this month. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll just mention that if you look in October, the moon is nicely positioned on this weekend, and that's when the International Observe the Moon is planned. So
Yes.
it sets pretty early, but we'll see how things work out. We'll watch for announcements on that. So there it is. That I've got that. So that's we've made it through a hybrid meeting. We didn't have feedback cause a space-time anomaly or anything like that. So the people online and the people in the room, I'd be interested in your feedback on how the hybrid aspects worked. So just send them in to me or send it to info at stjohnsrsc.ca so Randy can get and pass it along. The next meeting is going to be in about a month. Same time, we'll do it the same way. it's going to be the center annual general meeting. And as I said, let Randy know if you're interested in serving on the executive or on committees. There'll be some reports.
I'll be
we can-
mailing out.
What's that?
I'll be mailing out.
Yeah, so you'll be hearing from Randy about that. And we're also going to have a short talk from Chris. He gave us a talk last year about the Fermi bubbles. And since then, there's been some new findings. And so he's just going to update us, just a very short talk about that. And so we're looking forward to that. And then in November, we're going to have a talk from Terrence Treacle, who's a computational fluid dynamicist, but he applies that to galaxy motion. So he's a graduate from here and he's now back on faculty. So we're looking forward to that. So that ends the formal part of the meeting. What I'm going to do is put it on put this onto gallery view, and people, if people want to make themselves visible and yell at people in the room, that's okay. The people who are here, I think we're going to have a little bit of coffee and some cookies, and the people who aren't here, we're going to eat them in front of the camera so that you can see us eating.
If you stop sharing the screen, we could get our gallery view back, although
Oh, okay.
I think people are leaving, or some of the online people are leaving. There you go. Anyway, I'll just have to raise my water glass. There you go. Next time. I hope.
So are you able to hear things pretty well?
Yeah, not too bad, actually. A little quiet sometimes, but no, generally I thought that went very smoothly.
Yeah, the camera's farther away than it normally would be, so that we get a bit more width.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty good. Lots of people doing some rather impressive imaging. Wow. I liked Bernard's. Bernard, are you still there, Bernard?
Yeah, he's still there.
Yes, I am, Chris.
Yeah, the deep sky images you did. That image of the veil is astounding.
Yeah, it turned out pretty good. I wrote down what I did on that one. I think that one was like 72-minute exposures that I did there one night. That was with that Sharp Star I got mounted on the Mead.